Now in 5-axis, we have enhanced one of our operation types. So this would be the 5-axis curve projection. So let's look at what's happening here in this part. We have a 5-axis application where we're cutting around the edge of this complex surface here. And if you look at this edge in orange, okay, you'll see that it's at the base of a raised area, okay? So prior in 2024, if you wanted to add curve machining in this area, there's a chance that it would ride up on this vertical face as it goes around this complex area. So if that occurred, then obviously you would want to use another method to try to clear up these areas. So now what it does is it calculates the curve that you want to project and allows you to set an offset. So if we know the tool diameter on the tip of the tool is a certain diameter, you can offset that, say half of the tool diameter. Here I'm setting it to 2.5, okay? And it's what it does is it calculates the offset curve and then it projects it down onto the tool path. So you don't have to draw. If you tried to go in here and draw this offset curve, you would not get a good result because of the complex area this is in. Trying to offset it and then project it, it's going to be a problem. So you're probably not going to be able to use this method probably in 20 previous versions. So now we do this as part of the toolpath. It's very, very helpful, as you can see in this particular part itself. And this method is used on 5-axis application where you want to trim like material from the edges of the part, or you want to clean up material on the edge of a feature in 5-axis. So again, this is in 5-axis curve projection, and this is in the premium, our premium 5-axis configuration, where you have all of the 5-axis continuous toolpaths available to you. And this one applies to the curve projection machining operation type. And again, you got this additional dialog here in the cut parameters tab. It allows you to set the cut side, left, right, center, and then also an offset if you want to apply an offset value. So very, very helpful if you're cutting in 5-axis. We'll go down here, go here, go over here. Now this is it is a big deal in 5-axis machining. In a lot of cases in 5-axis, you're cutting complex geometry, and also you may be cutting edges off of a part. So you can think of it, just think of if you have press punched a formed say a formed shell on a car body, just an example. Okay, you punch that car body, you have a blank, and you're punching the shape in the car body, but you need to trim out the edges of it. Okay, well, you can use a 5-axis toolpath. Just put that that half-finished punched part on a fixture, and you can use this toolpath to go around and clean up those edges. In fact, they use this a lot with robotics to go ahead and cut and trim up things in 5-axis. In this particular example, it's a straightforward 5-axis continuous toolpath. In our 5-axis menu, it is the curve projection method. Now, in curve projection, this is a go-to operation type for cleaning up areas, okay, around edges in 5-axis. And what it's doing is it's taking a curve that you select and it's projecting it. If you look at that operation, it's taking the curve that you select and it's projecting it downward onto the part, and it's cutting that curve in a 5-axis continuous motion. Okay, so in this particular part that you see here, what we want to do is we want to clean up this edge. Okay, it goes all the way around the part. Now, one thing that you'll notice if you look at this, Let's take a look at this in this side view. Okay. In this side view, you see that this edge that we want to clear, it's pretty complex. So in 2020, prior to 2025, in 2024 and prior, on the 5-axis curve projection, you needed to create your curve at the location that you want to project it. Okay. Well, in cases like this, you may not want to use this edge and project it directly onto it, because it may ride up on, this surface here. Okay, so you may want to move it over and then project it down to clean up this edge, and that's exactly what we've allowed you to do now in the 5-axis curve projection method. So if we look at this, so what you're seeing here is the toolpath without using the enhancement. So the enhancement, if you can refer to it as an offset and then a projection. So we're offsetting, in this case, without the offset, we're selecting that curve and it's attempting to project it down onto the surface. And if you look at the dialog here, in 5-axis, we have gouge checking. So we don't want that tool to gouge on this raised wall here. So we've assigned those surfaces as gouge check surfaces, which means the tool will not violate those surfaces for any reason. Okay, it's not going to violate it. But what that causes in version 2024 and prior is that the curve that we're trying to project down to clean up that edge is riding up on this surface because it doesn't want to violate it. Okay, so you'll see that it's raised up in this area. It might be closer in some of the other areas, like right in here. It's just not going to work. Okay, so you have to go in prior to 2025. You would have to go in, offset this edge, and create the curve that you want to project. That's a big deal because this is a very complex curve. You can't just offset this curve inward and project it down, because this is a complex 3-dimensional 5-axis curve. Okay, so you can't just take one curve and project it down because it's not going to be the correct projection. So what have we done to help you do this? So let's go back up in this dialog, this 2025 options. So if you look at the cut parameters, we've added a cut side. So now we're still, if you look here, we're still selecting that edge. Okay, but what we're telling it is we're telling it what side of this curve to cut on, and we can give it an offset distance. Okay, so we're telling it to cut on the left side of the curve. Okay, and we're cutting, in this case, we're cutting at a 0 offset. So let's take a look. Let's just cancel that a second. So what happens there is it offsets the tool and projects it down onto the surface in 5-axis mode. So that is an exact offset and projection of this curve that you've selected here. Now you can tighten this up or push it out, pull it in, however you want, but you see that it's not violating this edge whatsoever. Okay, so that is, if we look, can we look at the tool itself? Let's see here. Okay, so there's the tool if you look at it. Okay, so what we're doing, we're cleaning up this edge. Of course, we offset it a little bit too far. You can tweak that forward, or you can play with it and tweak it until you get that that edge cut the way you want to cut it without violating this wall. So that is somewhat of a complicated way of explaining a really complex problem that we've solved in version 2025. Okay, let's